We're live.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Thank you for coming out for our second reading of 2022. It's always so interesting trying to put together any kind of event, let alone during pandemic. And we're in Miami Beach, and we kind of forget that there's still a pandemic happening. But so we're here with a live audience for the first time this year, which is fantastic. Last month we had a reading and no live audience. Every month it's something new. So thank you for flowing with us, and thank you for trusting us and coming out to hear some live poetry. It's great doing these events online because then we get to expand our audience and people can tune in from wherever in the world, and that's just fantastic for us and for the readers. But it's also great having a live audience. We have that immediate reaction to the work, that visceral reaction, those those aha, those snaps. And I think that's what we really miss so much during COVID. So thank you for being here today. Big thanks to the Betsy. Without the Betsy, swim wouldn't be, pretty much. I think we say that every reading. Betsy fully supports a literary ecosystem here in Miami. People are always surprised that there is such a strong literary presence in the din of iniquity, but there is, and it is fully supported by the Betsy. So we're forever grateful to them for their astounding generosity. So thank you. So tonight we have the great pleasure of welcoming two fantastic female writers. So please join me in welcoming Komal, Mathew, and Clayre, Benzadón. It's a riotous applause, and I hope you hear that. So how we do it is I'll introduce both writers, and then they'll come up successively, okay, without interruption. So our first reader of the night is our local reader, or local poet, Clayre Benzadón. She received her MFA at the University of Miami. She is a Split Lit magazine poetry reader and Broadside Press's Instagram editor. We need to talk. Her chapbook, Liminal Zenith, was published by Survision Books in 2019. She was awarded the Alfred Boas Poetry Prize for Linguistic Rewilding, and her full-length collection, Moon as Salted Lemon, was a finalist for the 2021 Robert Dana and Hinga Poetry Prize. She has been published in places including 14 Poems, Swim Every Day, Fairy Tale Review, Anomaly, and forthcoming in Grist Journal. Please visit her at her website, clarebenzadon.com. And our second reader for the evening is our visiting writer, who we're so grateful to have with us tonight. Komal Mathew is the author of For Daughters Who Walk Out Like Sons, which won the Zone 3 Press First Book Award for Poetry. Her poems have appeared in Beloit Poetry Journal, Crazy Horse, Diode Poetry Journal, The New Republic, Poetry, and others. A graduate of Georgia Institute of Technology and Sarah Lawrence College, she lives with her family in Smyrna, Georgia, where she is the co-founding editor of Josephine Quarterly. Let's please give a warm Miami welcome for our two poets this evening.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Oh, is the feedback okay, or is it?
It's okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, from here it sounds a little different.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to be reading from my manuscript in progress, Moon as Salted Lemon, which talks about family, food, and identity. I'm also going to be reading a few from my chapbook. So my first poem, I'm thankful to Swim for publishing it. And this is probably one of my first, I guess, big published pieces. So thank you. Moon as Salted Lemon. Tonight, I wedge the moon into bottom of glass, con cada luna llena. Watch it erupt, leak, teal. Cuando llega el atardecer, I can't squeeze Julieta, Venegas, limón, y swirling salt around the rim of a shot glass. Evening brings out the bluest part. Almost half of this lemon milk body is salted by silicon dioxide glass, created by meteorites hitting it. So my next piece has also been published by Swin for a recent project that they did called Poetry in Blue, which was also a collaboration with Miami. Nimble/nimble touch. In full sun or cold tolerance, asters grown in, all charmed and untoothed, wild. Their star-slit petals cross each other, asterisks, ticks, tisks of remembrance. There is a game blossoms play with each other. Besides the speckled throats, plants choose to dress, protect themselves in foxglove sleeves, thimbles, during a game of tag or touch me not. A half-life lasts a day. I stare at the aster, at its last finger of pulverized breath. It sneezes like a collapsed core of a black hole. All right. So this one is a little different, a little more fun. I enjoy reading it for its short, abrupt, and rhythmic lines. Pop. I can't pop soda, can't break a can in half, not the tin can tug of it, no pop top. Every time I open the fridge, it's on a win. I whimper, not enough for meals, not enough for me. Maybe if I wipe down the white pebbled surface, a package of meat will appear in front of me like a magnet, and I'll get to pop open the plastic wrap, poke my finger into it, reveal itself as ugly and pounded down as I am, as angry as I am for being as worn and used to its core. Anger is carnivorous. I'm a wind when it comes to biting down and giving a little more oomph to my crunch, my slap on the cap. Pop sounds too easy, sorry music taste. The turn just hurts like a choke on the Coke bottle. It's not that I don't like being held hard and winded, but sometimes I'd rather be the best bad babe, not chewing over an event but acting on it instead. I pledge to be a queer queen who chomps her gum and pops it in front of everyone's face. Alright, so speaking of pop, this next poem is pop culture inspired. So this poem was influenced by Limper's magazine's call for Barbie poems and Denise Duhamel's Kinky. $1 billion Barbies. I became a funhouse of her, owned millions of her mirrors. I took pictures of her alpha in the house. Before I became a brat, I let Barbie pose towards me. Before I bent her wrist, twirled it, the rubber so easily chewable. Yes, I used to eat her arm off sometimes, like the erasers I bit off when I was bored in class. Sure, there was totally hair Barbie, but what about punk mouth star? Her stomach sometimes wobbled stupid when I arched her over to make her perform a reverse plank. In reverse, gravity pulled Barbie to new heights. Do you know she traveled into space before man walked on moon? Did you know that more than 100 of her clones are sold every minute? Back at her playhouse mansion, Barbie sits at her desk, typing code for a video game, programming her in it as hero. I blame her for being an engineer of her own fate. All right. So this next poem was written during the midst of the pandemic, and it kind of just centers around the novelty of human interaction. Instructions on vacationing, or instructions on vacating. While stooping near chickens at a park bench, make sure to brush their combs, and when the new kid in the neighborhood's kite strings in the oak, he'll look at you, then away, then ask if he can pet your dog, point to the RV. I could climb all the way up to the top. The tree's easy. You just grab its limbs. That's how I'll get my glider. We're going on a trip. For all you know, you may have tripped on your own sneakers. The kid tiptoes off his bike saddle, runs up to the tree to hug it, and dwells on the cat ingrained in his mind. Both your mind and his have been snuck up on by the roundabout way in which the two of you continue to live by. Do you know the kid Sumter named Kid Perfect who jumped over an RV? You forget all about the chickens. Hold on to the kid's hand instead, pull him up on your shoulders, then start mounting the trunk together, airing full suspension. We whip a wall ride, smash through it towards freakier, wheelie cross-country terrain. All right, so this next section is going to be focusing more on family. And so this is kind of like an imagined moment in time, and it kind of like, it centralizes on the theme of understated love towards relatives, and also between physical and more metaphorical spaces of time and space. Hungering over / solidifying into suitcase. Back in Florida, no room for fall. I've learned to neglect all indications of changing seasons since college. The colors of my mother's cayenne sprinkles, dashes of turmeric, powdering branches of cauliflower wouldn't at any time be as vivid as Massachusetts foliage. And I was thankless enough to look out the window rather than at my mom when she served me a plate, and to mash the florets until they melted a burnt rust. Miami felt like it had decayed, and so had I. Inside the city, tiny sizzles grew louder from outdoor heat from our kitchen. How I hungered for autumn, clean pulps of snow. Sometimes boundaries are set to mark seasons. I was looking for that for another space. I hid my simmer while my mother heightened stove heat, pot boiling quicker each dinner when she dished me up and I twirled the food on my plate. Still gazing off in starvation and far sickness. My mom eventually stops cooking. We both cease eating. I remain in my room. She stays hunched over her desk. We thin in distance. The periphery between us divides the tiled hallway from my parents' bedroom carpet. While my mom sleeps, I slip a letter to her under the door. In the line margin, I scribble, "I'm sorry, Mom. I did not mean to confine us. I only wanted to confide in you. I miss you." I've already left the house by the time she wakes. She sits out on the lawn bench, flushed with saffron, peach, imperceptible threshold. In the canal underneath her, the one she studies, my face appears. We meet. When I dimple, it is hers. There's a silent simplicity that mirrors. I tread closer, then settle down next to her with a secret clasp of lemon peels. Even the shell of this fruit can't tolerate low temperatures, but here they bud continuously. I wrap one around her hair like a scrunchie, then scrutinize it candying in the sun. Okay, so this next one is moving to now the topic of identity and gender expression through clothing. Dapper. I sit alone in my room, observe my slanted frame self-displayed in a dress. My arms glint awkward beneath thin straps of black satin, skirted fabric, pressing knees, flabby at the waist. See, I prefer a certain type of tenderness, a vested mid-drift, loose-fit uncovering, the kind where I openly settle down in baggy pants, roll up my sleeves, all accentuation of muscle, collar, adjusted with a necktie, balancing out unrestrained hang of a suit. How it stands so easy this way lets my body become unbound. So now I'm going to move, that was actually from my chapbook, but now I'm going to move physically to my chapbook. So this is another family poem. I would say I didn't realize it, but most of my manuscript in progress is very family influenced. Horchata moonshine spills into the village of La Abuela, a silver river of whitewashed buildings below the milk-drunk Avila galaxy, La Via Lactea. My dad points to the stars, outlines them with chalky atmosphere. Captura todo lo que reluce, capture everything that glistens. Celestial incandescence, earthshine of the wet moon, lunar rays refraction all melted against my glass of horchata. Yesterday, I held the cup up towards the indigo flames of the Kaimala Nebula, enchanted along with the alcoholic blaze, burning witchcraft. Fuerzas de aire, tierra, mar y fuego. I am a spark of constellation bottled up in a glass flask of fireflies. Levantaré las llamas de este infierno como fuego. I'll raise the hell-written flames of this fire and combust. So the next poem I'm going to read kind of messes around wordplay. I'm a huge sucker for that. It also touches upon the theme of gendered language and sexism in both the Spanish lexicon and culture. Linguistic rewilding / rebobinas lingüísticos. A dream as loose as incomprehensible, wobbles like teeth falling out depleted, like power outage, language cut from gum, bomb, bombilla, trozos de carne asada, con sabor carnal, heavy, strong as la mente, encendida inside the mouth like lengua, as automatic, pera sucia. With the replacement of just a few letters, it's easy to convert the vowel from O to A, to swap the sound when it's convenient. How can la libertad be a woman when she is basura, cocina, domestica? With the replacement of just a few letters, letra, let her roar. Como una mujer maníaca, trapped, mantenida como un trapo sucio, manchada, hasta que convierte en nube. To preserve something means to serve before anything else, to persevere with the masculine standard form. The language regulator is él, como un padre quien dice, eso no es como se siente una señorita, as if there were no room for women to feel that ita is only added as a kindness. I sit pretty even when los hombres, used to mean people, do not include me, and hembra merely refers to female animals, stands in a slang cliche. When I'm a girl, I take the Spanish into my mouth, it sparkles. I leave my door open when I change and my father walks past me as I strip into a new sparkler, just like the words I play with are, ver en mi mano desnudo. He barely sees me but still flinches. Before he can say anything, I yank my mouth open with my tongue. Voy a hacer lo que quiera como mujer y ella puede hacer lo que le da la gana con su propio cuerpo, lengua. I restore a remnant of my tongue, myself. The salvaje refuses to leave me. Thank you. Yes, Thank you. All right. And then I'm going to close out with this poem. And I like to do a lot of surrealist and mythological references in my piece. So this one, it just includes some figures that represent just female empowerment. All right, lunacy. Woman, ward off delirium by tying a skull around your belt. Then remember to place the lunacy in your hands, under the gums. Acrid hallucinations will smile at you. The brain case of protection against sticks. Phoebe, shining titan, fell just like that without it from Nyx. Night is a frantic cavity where warriors mark star god Royalputsi mad, cut off her limbs, tossed her head into the heavens so that she could become full again, her face a crescent painted with bells, and eagles flying down her hair. Claws scraped her scalp bare until her head tore open, her cranium crowned. Mother Kotoku consumed herself watching this, died from insatiable insanity. After, her belly miraculously fell with a blessing. Hummingbird feathers balled up, violently jammed, borne into her chest, the same way month sickness collects into umbral bales filled with loon, convex diurnality. Moon sick with the mist cycle of Venus's own hormonal rhythm. Women, it is not enough to wish, to crack with demand. Instead, surrender, pray to reach a blue god, maybe Vishnu. Then settle with the atmosphere, melting away in fantastic ablation. Thank you.
you guys for all being here, and it was so nice to read with you, Clayre, and thank you to the swim team, to Catherine and Jen for all the things. I'm so happy to be here and to get some space at the beach and the sun and just some time to write. So it has been a real gift, so thank you. And this is a special reading for me because my kids are in the audience for the first time. My biggest fan, Curtis, so they'll let me know what they really think. But yeah, since the book has been published, they have not been able to be here live, but actually I don't think they've ever been anyway, so it's extra special. So most of the poems in this book are inspired by them. They're wonders, but I watch them draw or talk, and then I get an idea for a poem, and so I'm going to read a couple from them. The first one is watching my son draw. He is an amazing artist, and he kind of has an obsession that I have, that when he thinks about something, he's always thinking about it. So he had a moment of just drawing cheetahs over and over and over and over and over until he got it perfect. And at that time, I was studying Psalm 23, which is about God as a shepherd. And so I put those together, and I saw him take control of the page, and I said, God is a shepherd, and so is my son. So for the shepherd, who is also the path the sun makes in daytime. A good shepherd is a wonder in contrapposto, an artist mapping the Serengeti with kingdom lines. A good shepherd angles a lion's eye, traps gazelles in dry fields, copies a cheetah's spots one leg at a time. A good shepherd does not give you stones when you ask for toast, does not ask you to work without a burning bush, but owns a gate, uses a gate, pulls the weeds and leaves the wheat on an altar of choices. A good shepherd is a prince of peace when terror finds its full echo, a creator in the wild where a predator providentially becomes prey. I also have a spunky daughter, and she'd say something, and it takes us, by surprise. And she said this poem has something she said while she was playing in the tail on the donkey. Birthday games. Before the sun hits, there is a piñata, the sprinkling and gushing of gifts, musical chairs round and round as voices mouth a melody for cake. There is a donkey kid who breathes in the icing and licks the bottom of the candles before asking. There is also the donkey and its tail, red eyes marking his own surprise for missing parts, this distinct part of him that left and never returned. Still, each kid walks up proud, dons on the blindfold, and becomes an instant cheat. Can we fix what we can't see? The sliver of light tempts. You can't peek, someone big says. Make sure you close your eyes. A small scrunched face growls, why can't I do what I want to do? And we all become beasts. I grew up in a small town in Georgia, in a very tight-knit Indian community. There was one family there when my parents moved. And so our weekends were very divided. On the weekends, I was with a lot of the Indian community. On the weekdays, I was with all my American school friends. And so I felt this tension always between who I was on the weekends and who I was on the weekdays. And that's still unraveling today, honestly, and I experience it as I watch my kids grow up at school. So this is one poem about that time. An American. Every Diwali, I explain to my friends at school why I am so tired. Garba, it's like dancing. Pujas, I guess, like praying. I explain in fragments because even we don't know why we wash statues with milk, why worshiping God takes so many coats. I don't ask to sit beside my mother when she sings. My sister and I watch our father struggle to cross his legs, his laughter resting on his lifted knees. He closes his eyes, pretending to pray. We believe my mother made this temple herself, found pictures and tiny murtis, gold coins with Shiva, rice and turmeric stored in tiny steel jars. Only she knows where everything goes and how to use it. I have sat at that temple many times, looking at Krishna's blue face and pleasing smile framed inside, where life is easy. My mother tells me he is blue because he is so dark. We would not be able to see his face otherwise, she says. Every time I close my eyes to pray, I see Jesus on that cross and taste pennies. His blonde face like the girl in music class who told me not to take the Lord's name in vain. I feel guilty wanting to have stew and tuna sandwiches instead of khichdi, so when my ba showed up at school this afternoon in her maroon and gold sari and called my name, I didn't answer. I walked past her to the car, slid between my sister and her white friend. I wanted to believe that I was still American, hiding in the back seat like a crumpled sari. It's taken me many years to realize I don't have to choose between American and being Indian. I can be both simultaneously, and I think when I became a follower of Jesus, I struggled with that feeling even more because I thought Christianity means American. I just did not know how to blend those two. And the more I read, the more I thought, that's not true, so, as we all know. But this poem's called Everything I've Heard from the God of Nations. You didn't say love the way I made it, a near new thing. You said abide, like long stanzas, like a memory with many owners. You didn't say love when I put on armor, reminding myself of soft pashminas, counterfeits with ends. You said abide, so how important is it to protect my head? You didn't say love like I've heard it out of a lover's mouth, a blood orange love. How could you say it another way? You said abide, so what can I say back? Of course, yes, always, like a tradition, like an Eastern thing. My husband and I have been talking a lot about journeys. I love reading about people's journeys. It's like I could do that all day. I love to write about it, but we talk a lot about it, and we return to our parents' journeys because that kind of informs ours, and we kind of always end up in that place. My parents have a transcontinental, like they were born in Africa, they went to school in India, moved to London, and went to New York. They've done all the moving that they could do, and they settled in Georgia of all places. And my husband and I both have we had parents that were sponsors for our family, so we were like the original immigrant in our entire family. So a lot of our stories come from them, and we don't just hear their stories, we hear the stories that came before them. And one of the biggest stories is Mahatma Gandhi's Salt March. One of the events that, or protests, I guess, that he did was against the British's tax on salt, the basic thing, that we should all have. And he called it satyagraha, not protest. Satyagraha means holding on to truth, and that was the way he described his work, not because it wasn't passive and it wasn't obedient, it was holding on to truth, and the truth is that all people should have what was given by God, even salt, And so I borrowed that word, maybe boldly, I think boldly, to describe my own journey of faith. This is called Satyagraha for Thin Feet. Like the army you were converting, you took my people and their thin feet and led them to a salty sea. To give them truth, you dressed holiness as a 240-mile braid towards a sordid beach, lifted them like long-grain rice, shaky before an anointing. How was I to know that this was a miracle, thousands walking from one sacrificial place to another? When it passed down to me, I did not inherit the holiness of shifting from seed to salt, child to priest. I became heir to my mother and her garnet ring. Thinking I owned her, I pulled her fingers back, pushed into her ring. I found a place for me to put my cheek, a colonization of skin and blood. Then later, my mother held my hand, unpacked our lunch at Lavender Pond. She let go because I let go, a symbiosis of skin and blood. And suddenly I owned my body and didn't have to look back. What was I doing but starting my own march into a place of peace and rest, moving towards sacrifice? What was I doing but converting my own body, changing because I was free from the glory of one hand? Satyagaha, when I leave good places with thin feet, walking into found places. Satyagaha, when I no longer belong to the mutable sea. Satyagaha, now that I am yours and you are mine, your glorious, holy body of boats. Last November, my husband and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And as I was walking down Ocean Drive, we came here 11 years ago, the first time I met his family. And we have a lot, so we were thirsty. We went into Johnny Rockets and got a bottle of water. That Johnny Rockets is now CVS. I was looking for it, and I was like, oh my goodness. It's funny how those full circle moments happen, but you never return the way that you came out, and so it's almost like more like a spring or a spiral than it is a full circle moment. But that just made me happy to see that, and so I'm going to read 2 poems about how we first started 10 years ago, or many years ago. Home After Homes. 1. A bronze cross from your father's coffin hovers over our headboard. Don't start with the dead first, your father told you. So we start small and alive, like we were just planted into the earth. 2. You don't want a house with a yard because weekends aren't meant for work, so we grow gray plants in a city condo. You get up early like your father did to make me egg sandwiches. You measure ice, slice bananas and persimmons into a blender, into shapes, diamonds, toy blocks, caution cones. 3. I learn how to call you every day, to ask what we're planting and why and when and for how long. In my old home, a black statue of Ganesh sits with crossed legs in the foyer. Some Americans keep idols in their pockets, my father tells me, even the president, for luck. Pruning seems like the right thing, so I look for some place to put a different clue to all who enter. 4. This is an Indian home, but all I want is our wedding picture and my grandmother's small bowl of salt. Each night I close one eye at a time, trying to see who we really are, the left, right, eyes trapping gusts of wind, until I see you, my love, with 3 children, until I see you in a clean home with no yard. After the honeymoon home. 1. I've been cleaning all day, wiping countertops, sills, and tops of TVs. Sperm can live in you for 3 days, you remind me. I know, like dust collecting on your favorite book, I tell you. 2. We've been killing my mother's mint plant for weeks, taking turns being parents. Water, my milk, a small ledge, a crib, an offer of all our pleasant places. Now it's another Tuesday and we have made a dry Medusa mess. I shower, think about adoption, take a 3-mile walk before noticing 2 dogs shepherding 100 goats in the park. Chosen, elected to eat invasive kudzu, where a mint plant grows wildly without us. 3. Before you were born, I saw both of you as toddlers kneeling under a window of reds and yellows of Jesus the shepherd. I think you will love lambs like he did in foreign places and stained glass windows, those almost shattered pieces. 4. The world gets smaller when you're in the city. The city gets smaller when you're planting tulips in your backyard, imagining yourself a sower, a gardener of 2 little figures of speech formed in a small frame of dust. Oh, unimaginable God, you both came and stayed for more than one night. My friend recently told me that what we want our kids to be is what we want most for ourselves. And I want my kids to be brave, so I'm like, I definitely want to be brave. But the most terrifying ways for me. He loves water, and so often he's ended up in a pool, and we've had to, get him out, and he can swim now. But I wanted to be brave, not like fighting a lion, or bungee jumping, but like the kind that makes you want to leave good places for better things. And so this poem is about that. Swim lessons. The God who is there took and divided your breath, small gifts which you held like a creation story. The God who is there gave you a clean push of space under growing waters which you sifted like you were dividing the Nile. Child, what have you left behind? A tiptoe on warm pavement, a stretched summer day, a clear view of the sun? What won't you do to prove you want more than still water? More than soft steps. And this is the last poem I'm going to read. It's really about all my kids, but it's about my daughter and her perceptiveness or her questions that she asks that we have no answer to, and sometimes we'll go in all types of ways to answer them, and sometimes we land in a good place, and often we're still thinking about what she's asked. So this one's called After a Long Walk, My Daughter Asks Why We Can't Just Die Together. 1. We have looked at pool covers and rusty drains. We have searched red bushes for thorns, scraped an elbow on a brick step. We have announced, no doggy, not over here, then ran with heads turned back, our long, thick Indian hair blocking our view. We have witnessed iridescent bubbles lit in the soapy sun, waiting, right, left, stop, then danced on the yellow rippled ramps leading us to new tar roads. My smallest known tour guide, you are not tired. You are never tired. My soreless child, my fossil finder, my bones splintering each year you grow stronger and faster. 2. We are on the corner going somewhere set in stone, and you lunge towards Spring Street, your small arm pulling towards the curved walkway. Your neck beaked like a soldier pulling a flag to the ground. This is the way. I pull and lunge towards church, lining up one foot in front of the other while you keep turning, loving nothing carved from this world. 3. This is important, the tradition of never finishing the ritual, a bedtime routine, a coffee pot on a hot plate again and again, the thin glass that always breaks. But if you do it on purpose, say for a wedding, it will mean something. It will mean something if it never ends. Like all the blue fireworks we watched to lighten your face and darken my shoulder, a memory buried so deep in the room of our living that later you will believe there are brighter places that feel like our home. 4. To go separately means that either I walk behind or you, like a man rushing through morning pedestrians, goes into a building, up the stairs, to an office that's really a room made of boxes and tape. It means, like a man, you will go first, and we can just forget about our walk. Argentina in the summer, the mica clock, the stories will stay on the shelf. To go separately means one of us will die breathing in. It means one of us will walk on cracks hoping for a heart swallow. It means the back of your earring will still be lost and forget about 6 or 7 or 8. It will mean one day folding into 50 years. So why can't we go together? The reasons are wide and deep and high, but we will go separately while one of us waits at the bus stop. Will it be you? One of us will start drinking coffee to remember the plan we had on the calendar to go for a walk that leads us to a coffee shop where I could tell you, I don't love you like the small things you carry in your pocket. I don't love you like the things you carry on your back. I love you like you could live forever.
During these readings, we bring you together based on intuition, some kind of magic, maybe words in your language that that reminds us of of the way you both write, but then that complements. So tonight, just to hear the strains of family, language, inheritance, heritage come together, it was quite beautiful. So thank you both so much for sharing your work with us. And thank you all for tuning in. One swim announcement, we have a call for submissions out. If you're a poet and you identify as a woman, please send us poems on the body. We have a new program called Sing the Body. I guess project is a better word for it. We want to celebrate the body. We're tired of filtered images of how women should look. So send us your poems and why you love your hips, why you love your hair, what makes you rock, okay? We're assembling a special portfolio, and those submissions are open until, Jen? March 9th. So thank you. Also, Miami has a call for submissions out, poems about age, any age. So submit to them, submit to us, support the literary arts in all places, Miami. You never would have guessed it on the map. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting SWIM, for supporting literature and poetry. We love you so much. Have a great night.